Life is unpredictable, often changing directions when you least expect it. This is the story of how I met Aiden. My name is Isabel. At 30, I was a fitness trainer at a neighborhood gym, leading a life as organized and regimented as my workout plans. That routine was upended the day Aiden walked through the gym doors, looking for a casual workout, but ultimately altering the trajectory of my life. "Hi, I'm Aiden." He introduced himself with a dazzling smile that seemed to brighten the entire room. "I hear this is the place to get fit. Could you show me around?" I gave him a skeptical look. He didn't seem the typical gym enthusiast. He appeared more accustomed to winning people over with his charm. "Okay, Aiden. Follow me, and you'll be in shape in no time. But just so you know, I don't take it easy on anyone." Aiden's laugh was full of mischief. "I wouldn't want it any other way. Lead the way, Isabel." Training Aiden was like trying to rein in a spirited horse. He was bursting with energy and possessed a stubbornness that matched his vigor. Yet, underneath his playful banter and relentless jokes, I sensed a deep respect and an undeniable connection between us. Our days at the gym quickly became the highlight of my week. It was no longer just about fitness. It was about the laughter, the stories we shared, and the camaraderie that grew with every session. One evening, as we were finishing up, Aiden's usual jovial expression turned solemn. "Isabel, there's something I need to tell you. I'm here not just for the workouts. I'm here for you. You have a strength and a fire in you that I've never seen in anyone else, and I find myself drawn to you." I was stunned. Aiden, the eternal joker, was now standing before me, vulnerable and sincere. "Aiden, I don't know what to say. You're not what I expected, but I can't deny there's something real here." That moment marked the beginning of a whirlwind romance. It was intense and passionate, sweeping us up like a storm. Before I knew it, I was exchanging wedding vows with the man who had walked into my gym and turned my world on its head. However, our fairy tale faced challenges soon after. "Isabel, we need to move into my mother's house. I have strong family ties, and it's crucial for me to be there for them," Aiden revealed soon after our wedding. My heart sank. Daniela, his mother, was known for her sharp tongue and critical eye, a stark contrast to Aiden's warmth. And then there was Lucy, his sister, who mirrored her mother's arrogance and disdain. "Aiden, are you sure about this? Your relationship with your mother and Lucy is already strained. Is this the best move for us?" I asked, trying to mask my concern. Aiden took my hands, his eyes earnest. "Isabel, I know it's not ideal, but family means everything to me. We'll make it work, I promise. It's us and our little family against the world." Moving into Aiden's family home felt like entering a war zone. Daniela's house was her fortress, governed by her rules. Lucy was her shadow, amplifying her mother's critical nature. Each morning, Daniela's greeting dripped with an insincerity that was hard to miss. Despite the tension, Aiden's promise echoed in my mind. We were determined to make it work, believing in the strength of our bond to overcome the familial storms. As challenging as life became, it was a testament to the unpredictable paths love can take us on, and the resilience it demands from us. Life at Daniela's house was demanding, a never-ending cycle of household duties where every day felt like a repeat of the one before. "Isabel, don't forget the dishes need washing, and the living room needs dusting. We run a tight ship here," Daniela would remind me sharply. I nodded, swallowing the comeback that almost slipped out. "Of course, Daniela. I want everything to be perfect." Lucy, ever the spectator from her spot at the kitchen table, would eye me critically. "Yeah, Isabel, try to keep up. We don't need any dead weight around here." The days were relentless, filled with cleaning and cooking, as I tried to navigate life in a home that felt more like a minefield than a haven. Aiden, caught up in his own world with the restaurant, was like a shadow in his own family's house. But then life threw me another challenge. I was pregnant. What should have been a joyous announcement felt like just another complication in already turbulent waters. "Pregnant, huh?" Daniela's voice was flat, her eyes unyielding. "Well, don't expect any special treatment. This house doesn't run itself, you know." I stood my ground, my hand instinctively resting on my belly. I don't expect special treatment, Daniela. But I do expect some understanding. I'm carrying your grandchild. That quieted her, if only for a moment. But the respite was short-lived. The chores piled up, the glare sharpened, and the house felt increasingly claustrophobic with each passing day. Lucy watched me struggle, a smug smirk never far from her face. You're slowing down, Isabel. I can't handle a bit of housework. What kind of mother are you going to be? I wanted to shout, to fight back, but I restrained myself for Aiden, for the tiny heartbeat growing stronger inside me. The tension became a constant companion, an unwelcome guest at every meal, every moment. Aiden tried to mediate in his way, but between his family and the restaurant, he was pulled in 1,000 directions. One night, weighed down by the day's pressures, I pleaded with him. Aiden, talk to them, please. Your mother, Lucy. They treat me like I'm nothing, like I don't belong. Aiden sighed a weary sound. Isabel, they're just set in their ways. It's how they've always been. Just give it time. It'll get better. But it didn't get better. It got harder. The house became more suffocating, Daniela and Lucy more relentless, and I was just trying to stay afloat, to protect the tiny life depending on me. As I lay in bed each night, the moon casting shadows across the room, I made a silent vow. I wouldn't let them break me. I wouldn't let their words, their disdain define me. I was stronger than they knew, and one day they would see it. Becoming a mother was supposed to be the most beautiful chapter of my life, but in Daniela's house, it felt more like a trial by fire. Roman was my ray of sunshine amidst the storm, my little bundle of joy. Yet every cry, every smile, was overshadowed by Daniela and Lucy's relentless pressure and criticism. Really, Isabel, can't you keep that child quiet? Daniela would snap sharply whenever Roman whimpered. Holding Roman close, I whispered words of comfort, shielding him from the harshness of his grandmother's words. He's just a baby, Daniela. Babies cry, that's how they communicate. Lucy would roll her eyes, her voice dripping with disdain. But I knew, no matter what, I would shield Roman from their harshness, nurturing him with the love and warmth he deserved, standing strong against the storm. You're not approaching this correctly, Isabel. Maybe if you focus more on him instead of wallowing in self-pity, he'd be less noisy. Their words cut deep, each a stark reminder of how alienated I felt in this household, among these family members. But it wasn't just their harsh words, it was their judgmental stares, analyzing my every action, particularly since I'd gained weight after my pregnancy. They seemed to relish discussing my changed physique, as if my former life as a fitness trainer was a distant memory. Looks like your gym days are behind you. Huh, Isabel? Daniela would say with a laugh, eyeing my body disdainfully. You might want to skip dessert if you're hoping to fit into your old jeans again. I tighten my jaw and force a smile to mask the pain. I'm proud of my body, Daniela. It brought Romans into the world. The weight is temporary, but my love for my son is eternal. My resistance seemed futile to them. I remained an outsider, an unwelcome element in their perfect little universe. No matter how much I tried, it was never enough. I'd had enough. Daniela and Lucy's relentless criticism wasn't just wearing me down. It was igniting a resolve within me to reclaim my independence, my physical health, and my dignity. I transformed a corner of my room into a makeshift gym. It was humble, just a mat, some weights, and a resolve as firm as iron. This is it, Roman, I murmured to my baby boy, balancing him on one hip as I set up my phone to record. Mommy's turning everything around, starting now. The initial days were grueling. The workouts left me breathless. My muscles ached, but each bead of sweat and every sore muscle was a victory. You think bouncing back is that simple, Isabel? Daniela scoffed, watching me struggle through my exercises. It takes more than a few stretches to mend what's broken. I wiped my forehead and met her gaze determinedly. Watch me, Daniela. I'm not just repairing what's broken. I'm building something stronger. And I don't need your approval or your cynical remarks. That's when I decided to go public with my journey. I launched a YouTube channel and an Instagram account, documenting every hardship and triumph. It was genuine, it was raw, and it connected with countless others. "Look at this, Roman," I'd exclaim, showing him the screen brimming with supportive comments and likes. "We're not alone. There are so many people cheering for us." Advertisers started noticing, and soon, my little digital space became a thriving source of income. "Can you believe this, Roman?" I'd whisper as I tucked him into bed. "We're making it, really making it." But with every milestone, the tension at home intensified. Daniela and Lucy couldn't stand how I turned their mockery into my shield, their contempt into my motivation. "What's this now, Isabel? Playing the star while we do the real work," Lucy hissed one day, her eyes filled with spite. I stood firm, Roman cradled in my arms, my spirit unbreakable. "It's called changing the game, Lucy. It's called taking back my power. If you find my situation troubling, that's for you to deal with, not me." The house that once felt suffocating had transformed into mere scenery. My life had expanded and brightened, enriched by the love of my son and the support of a community that recognized the true me. My success on various online platforms was a delightful triumph, yet it introduced new challenges. Aiden was overwhelmed by the sheer size of the audience and the flood of comments. Though he was proud, his ego suffered as he feared how his family would perceive our changing roles. "Isabel, this is amazing, but you know my mother and Lucy," he said one evening, his eyes filled with a plea for understanding. "Let's keep this between us. I don't want them thinking I'm not the provider." I sighed, feeling the heavy burden of his request. "Aiden, I'm proud of what I've accomplished. It's not just about the money. It's about earning respect and gaining independence." He reached for my hand, understanding. "I know, and I respect that. But let's just keep it our secret for now in this house." Reluctantly, I agreed and began secretly transferring $5,000 a month to Aiden's account, a poignant irony that was not lost on me. Daniela and Lucy remained clueless, continuing to see me as a burden on their beloved son and brother. "You're just a freeloader, Isabel, always taking and never giving," Daniela would snap, her words as sharp as ever. I held back my response. The success I kept hidden served as a silent shield against her jabs. "I contribute in my ways, Daniela. Not that you would ever recognize it." Lucy was no different. "What do you even do all day, Isabel? Sit around while we handle all the real work?" Their ignorance was hard to bear, but I endured it, focusing on Roman, my channels, and my newfound strength. I'd spend days in the park with my son, documenting our life through my camera, moments they refused to acknowledge. "You're wasting your time with those videos," Daniela scoffed, watching me edit. But the growing numbers of subscribers, views, and comments spoke for themselves. They were real, tangible, and they were mine. "Maybe to you, Daniela, but to me and thousands out there, this is far from a waste," I'd respond, my confidence solid. Meanwhile, Aiden's restaurant faced difficulties, adding complexity to our lives. One day, he approached me, his pride barely concealing his desperation. "Isabel, the restaurant is struggling. Could you help? Maybe lend some money to keep it going?" His vulnerability was touching, and it pulled at my heartstrings. "Of course, Aiden. I'll help. But this isn't just a loan. It's an investment in us, in our family." His relief was visible, mixed with unspoken acknowledgement that I was now the lifeline, the quiet savior of our family's facade. As I transferred $12,000 and saw the gratitude and guilt in his eyes, I realized the balance had indeed shifted. Time in that house felt like a ticking time bomb, with each day edging us closer to an inevitable explosion. Lucy's marriage introduced her husband Brooks into our already crowded space, adding to the constant chaos and tension. "You two just take up space," Daniela sneered, her words slicing through the crowded living room. "You're nothing but freeloaders, Isabel. You and that kid." I clenched my teeth, pulling Roman closer. "We're family, Daniela. Or at least, that's what a house like this is supposed to mean." When Lucy revealed her pregnancy, Daniela's demeanor took on an even harsher tone, directly affecting the household dynamics. "This house is getting too crowded, Isabel. You and your son are just in the way," she stated bluntly. The words hurt deeply, But before I could react, Aiden announced unexpectedly during dinner that he needed to leave town for a few weeks due to his restaurant business, avoiding eye contact with me. His departure felt unbearable, leaving me to handle the tense home environment alone. "You're leaving now?" "With everything that's going on," I managed to say, my voice choked with emotion. As he left, the absence of his support enveloped the home in a palpable gloom. I strived to keep things normal for our son Roman, engaging in activities outside the oppressive atmosphere at home. However, one day upon returning from kindergarten, the sight that met us stopped me cold. Our belongings, bags, suitcases, Roman's toys, were piled outside the front door, as if they were trash. "Mommy, what's happening?" Roman asked, his voice tinged with fear and confusion. Holding back tears, I confronted the closed door. "Daniela, Lucy, why are our things outside?" My voice trembled with anger and disbelief. The chilling reply came from Daniela through the door. "You heard me, Isabel. The house is too crowded, and you two are just taking up space. It's time for you to leave. Find somewhere else to call home." Lucy's mocking laughter only twisted the knife deeper. As I stood there, the world seemed to collapse around me. How would I explain this to Aiden? What would he say to his son about where his wife and child were? With a heavy heart and a mind reeling from shock and betrayal, I gathered our belongings. Holding Roman's hand, we walked away from what was never truly a home. The pain was acute, the betrayal profound, yet it also marked a clear turning point. This was the end of a painful chapter and the beginning of a new one, ours alone. I rented an apartment, a modest but safe refuge for me and Roman. As I unpacked and settled in, the reality of our escape began to truly register. Though I was alone for the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope and a newfound sense of freedom. Making the apartment feel like home was a bittersweet task, but the shadows of Daniela's house no longer loomed over us. As I was arranging our new space, my phone buzzed with a message from Lucy, her words dripping with malice. "You think you know Aiden? Think again, Isabel." Attached was a link, a gateway to truths I had never imagined. Trembling, I clicked on the link. The screen illuminated with images that completely shattered my reality. There was Aiden, clearly not burdened by restaurant troubles. In the embrace of another woman, their closeness was unmistakable, captured vividly in photographs, a stark contradiction to the fabrications he had spun for me. The images were freshly dated, from just yesterday. His so-called business trip and his claims of being overwhelmed by stress were merely parts of a deceitful charade, with me unknowingly funding the facade. I was left feeling numb, the sting of betrayal melding with a chilling determination. For years, I had silently supported him, underpinning a man who led a dual life, while his family treated me with contempt. This week of emotional turmoil culminated in relentless calls from Aiden. His once soothing voice now ignited my disdain. "Isabel, please come back. Mom and Lucy crossed a line. And the restaurant, it's falling apart. I need you, Isabel. The bills are mounting." Previously, such pleas would tug at my heartstrings, but now they only brewed my scorn. "So, you only reach out when you need me to settle your bills and those of your families?" His voice cracked, desperation leaking through. "We're still a family, you, me, Roman. Isn't that worth fighting for?" A scoff escaped me. "A family? Is that what you call this act?" "No, Aiden, we're far from a family. As for your restaurant and your debts, those are your burdens to bear." Silence hung heavy on the line, thick and awkward. I could sense the gravity of his troubles bearing down on him. "But Isabel, the money. Your problem, Aiden. Your restaurant, your money." "I'm done being your lifeline," I interjected firmly, my voice resolute yet strong. "However, we will discuss this tomorrow. I will come to your mother's house." Resolved, I planned to return to that house not as the subdued woman they anticipated, but as the formidable force they had never anticipated. Armed with the truth and a strategy set to upend their world, I stepped into the lion's den. Aiden's face brightened with a mix of hope and surprise, but Daniela and Lucy's expressions were frosty, clearly displeased by my return. Look who's back, Daniela sneered, her voice laden with scorn. Missed us, have you? I met her gaze steadily. Not at all, Daniela. I'm here for something crucial. I handed Aiden an envelope, his complexion draining as he realized its contents. Divorce papers. Our marriage ends here, I declared, the words tasting of freedom. Daniela and Lucy's initial shock quickly shifted to smiles, pleased to be rid of the dead weight. Oh, Aiden's? Lucy taunted, her laughter grating on my nerves. Their jubilation was premature. Don't get too excited, I cut in sharply. You might want to sit down for this. It's been me, not Aiden, keeping this household afloat. The room plunged into stunned silence as Aiden's gaze flickered between me and his family, the truth now laid bare. It's true, he whispered, voice barely audible. The restaurant's been failing. Isabel's been covering everything. She transferred $5,000 to me every month. Daniela and Lucy turned on him, their faces contorted with anger and disbelief. You lied to us. You let her pay our bills. Daniela shrieked. As they grappled with the reality, Aiden, driven by desperation, announced, I'm going to file for alimony. I earn less, so it's only fair. His mother and sister applauded this decision, their claps echoing hollowly in the room, oblivious to the seismic shifts unfolding. I couldn't suppress a chuckle at the sheer absurdity of the situation. You think that's going to work, Aiden? You won't get a dime from me, especially after I discovered your affair. His face went pale. Stammering, he tried to speak, his usual bravado now shattered. I glanced at Lucy sharply. Your sister graciously provided all the evidence I needed. The ensuing argument was explosive. The house echoed with the sound of accusations and betrayals being thrown openly. Aiden and Lucy were at each other's throats, gesturing wildly as they yelled. Amid the turmoil, I stayed serene, my resolve unshaken. I'm reclaiming what's mine, I announced, my voice slicing through the uproar. Every appliance, every piece of furniture I paid for, it's all coming with me. You're left with whatever you've truly earned, which amounts to nothing. And that's precisely what I did. I removed every item I had financed from the house, stripping it bare, leaving them to confront the aftermath of their deceit. Daniela and Lucy's pleas for mercy and forgiveness fell on deaf ears. I blocked their numbers, cutting off all remaining ties to a life filled with deception and disrespect. The fallout was rapid. Aiden's restaurant faltered and fell under the crushing debt. They lost the house, and Lucy's husband departed, leaving behind the ruins of their family. They were left with nothing but each other and their errors, crammed into a tiny, rented apartment. As for me, Roman and I thrived in our fresh start. Our days were imbued with love, laughter, and the tranquility we had so ardently fought for. The past became a faint memory, now overshadowed by the bright future we were actively building together. We were not merely survivors. We were victors, embarking on a new chapter in our lives that was just beginning.